Hello and welcome to Looking Up, a podcast for Christian women. My name is Carla Moore and I'm here with Kathy Pollard, and we're going to have a discussion today, just a very informal chit chat about some fun things that are going on this week. And how are you doing, Kathy?
I'm doing great. I'm completely jealous about where you are right now, but other than that, doing really well.
Well, there's a crazy windstorm going on outside, so don't be too jealous.
Hey, I'd take the windstorm in Israel any day.
Yeah, we're down at the Dead Sea, and I'm up on the 8th floor, and I can hear the wind like blowing through the cracks in the door, and the plastic chairs out on the balcony are flying all around. So yeah, it's interesting. There really is never a dull moment down in this area, especially. In fact, did I ever tell you about the first time we were down here? This was 2015 when we came to start doing the recordings for the Bible and Passage videos. And we were sitting in the dining room down there, and this plane, like, a fighter jet, comes screaming across the Dead Sea. And just, what it sounds like up in the air. And this was like real close to not to the surface, but it was low. And I'm thinking, what in the world is this? And I'm looking around, and everyone just keeps on eating, and it wasn't a big deal. And I thought, well, I guess this is somewhat normal. And sure enough, not too much. Like a couple hours later, we were up in our room and had the doors open and could see and hear outside. And then sure enough, another fighter jet just comes screaming across the surface again. And so then we found out that they do, I don't know if you call them rotations. I'm sure people who are military women could tell me what they are, but it doesn't take very long to fly from end to end of Israel. It's like 4 minutes you can fly from in a jet. So they don't have a whole lot of airspace that they can practice in. So that's what that was. But yeah, there's never a dull moment.
And so this time a chair might come crashing through that sliding glass door behind you.
If a plastic
Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, if a plastic
you never know.
Flying through a plate glass window on the 8th floor, yeah, that'll make news.
Yeah, we should say things are a little bit different. You're in Israel, and you're having some technical issues, and you're recording off your phone, right? And no headphones, and so we're just going to do the best we can with the situation we have. But I'm excited that you were able to pull this off, because I was really hoping that we'd be able to chat while you're there. So how's the trip going so far?
It's going well. It started off, we've been here for a week.
Okay.
It'll be a week. Actually, tomorrow. We left a week ago today, and we got here a little bit early just to make sure everything was ready. And I didn't watch any news at the end of last week, but by I guess the group got here on Sunday, and by that day we were starting to hear about some protests that were going on in Tel Aviv. And we don't ever go to Tel Aviv. It's just not really a biblical site, so we don't spend any time there. But the airport is close. It's Ben Gurion Airport, and it's maybe, 20 miles or so from Tel Aviv. But there have been massive political protests, and I'm not smart enough to explain what all is going on, but I know that a lot of people are very unhappy with, they call him Bibi Netanyahu, because he's been trying to push through some legislation that a lot of people, they're saying that it's going from a democracy to a dictatorship. And, in a country like Israel that is a democracy, that's in the middle of a bunch of dictatorships, they're really very sensitive about it not being that way. So there were, massive protests in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem on Sunday. And actually on Monday, we were at Megiddo. And we were walking up the hill going towards that water shaft. We were going to walk through the water shaft. And one of the park employees came driving up on a little mule and said, "Can you tell everyone that we're going to shut the gates at 2:15? The whole country is going on strike." And we thought,
Yikes.
Okay. So anyway, it's a national park. So most of the sites that we visit are national parks. And so the employees they're employees of the state. And a lot of they have one union here, and if you're part of the union, they were sanctioning going on strike. So that night, Netanyahu got on TV and basically said that he was going to postpone decisions that or the legislation that he was going to try to push through. And that apparently satisfied most of the people. So they're going to put that off until after Passover week, and we'll be gone by then. But they had actually closed the airport. You know, some of those things are a little alarming, I guess, in the sense that you just don't know from day to day what's happening, obviously. But it wasn't. There was never any danger. It was not a violent protest. It was just protests, and I'm thankful that when you think about Israel, and we had a guide one time that called it a nice little country in a bad neighborhood. And you know, if you, and I don't want to get political because I can't speak intelligently about it anyway, but you think about anyone other than the Jews, the country of Israel, protecting all of the sites and all of the Bible history that's here, because Muslims don't care about biblical, you know, the sites that are important to us. And if Israel fell to people that didn't care about Bible history, we just wouldn't be able to see and have the things that we can use to prove. It's just very important and we pray about this a lot, pray for God to protect the Bible history that's here, because it's very important. So anyway, it was a little bit interesting at the beginning. No, what were you asking?
We were watching on the news, so we were concerned, but I'm glad everything's straightened out, because you were sort of near the beginning of your trip, I thought, when we were seeing it. And I was wondering how that was going to impact you. But I was wondering how many people are actually with you in this group.
We have 39.
Okay.
39, including John and me. And they come from all over. We actually have 4 Canadians this time too. And usually they're just from the United States, but they're 2 couples that came from Ontario.
How about
and
that?
they actually went to Jordan for a few days before they met us at the airport on Sunday in Tel Aviv. So it's been great. It's always that's my favorite part of these trips. It's just the relationships that you end up making. And when everyone comes out of that, you know, the area of the airport where they've just picked up their baggage and they come out, and when I watch them come out, I think, we don't know each other very well right now, but we're going to be friends, you know, good friends by the end of next week.
We're going to be tight.
Yeah. And when you travel with people, you can't help but, you know, you get tickled about things, and you just go through stuff that makes you instant friends, and then you just become better friends. And we've kept in touch and become good friends with many of the people that have traveled with us before. So that's my favorite part. I just love that about the trips.
Yeah. So how many trips have you taken so far?
I'm not sure. We really haven't been doing it all that long. We've 2015 was the trip that we started with the filming expedition, and that was I was the only woman. That was interesting. And then John and another man, his name is Jonathan Moore, and he's not related to us, but he's a podiatrist, and we've known him for years and years, and he's a great Bible scholar. And so there was that John Moore, Gary Massey, there was Dwayne Bryant, there was Rick Brumback, and I already said Gary Massey, didn't I? So John, Gary, Rick, and Dwayne were the guys that filmed. And then we had Micah came with us because he was toting around the camera stuff, and Matt Kane, my brother Doug, came for that one to take the photographs, and Philip Brumback. So anyway, it was all those guys and me. But then 2016 is when we started taking the tours. And so since then, we've done at least a couple per year, except for, 2020 was when COVID happened. And then 21, we didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but several. And you've been on quite a few of them.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you counting the 2017 and 2019 summer times that we did together?
Yeah.
Because you came in 2018. Okay.
Yeah, 17, 18, and 19.
Okay.
So this fall will be my 4th trip.
Yeah. Well, what is your favorite spot to go to here?
Oh, I think the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so many of them are great spots, but I think that's my favorite.
Yeah. Any particular spot there, or just the whole area?
Well, Mount Arbel is pretty powerful. Just being up
Yeah.
there, looking over the sea, imagining Jesus up there praying and seeing the
Mhm.
storm on the sea, just
Yeah.
and we've talked about this before, maybe not on the podcast, but because it looks so untouched,
Right.
and like you can just picture it, how it must have looked in the first century when
Right.
Jesus actually did walk on the water. And it's
Hmm.
just very moving, very beautiful, very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't changed all that much, like you said.
Right.
And there's
Yeah.
other places that you go and you have to block out all of the, Nazareth is one of those places. And
Hmm.
we were able to go on Sunday. When we picked up the group, we went not straight there. We went to a couple places first, but we ended up being able to worship with the church there in Nazareth on Sunday night. And but when you see Nazareth the way it is now, it's just buildings everywhere and
Hmm.
built up on, it's very hilly, and
Yeah.
it's just hard for me to picture what it would have been like when Jesus was alive, and alive here
Hmm.
on earth, obviously. But the Sea of Galilee, like you said, it's just, you don't have to squint your eyes too much to be able to
Right.
imagine what it looks like.
Yeah.
So
And the
yeah,
same with the Judean wilderness, because it still looks very deserty and wildernessy. So what's
yeah.
your favorite place?
Well, it would be the Galilee, and
Mhm.
anywhere there, just about. But Mount Arbel would be the place. I love taking the boat ride
Yeah.
because we go out and we ask them to cut the engines so that you don't hear that noise, and we pray and we'll sing and have a devotional, and
Hmm.
it's just a very moving place. But there's so many great sites. I love being in Jerusalem just because
Yes.
there's so many cool things to see, and
Hmm.
it's just exciting. It's fun to people watch. I love going down to the Western Wall. I love going down there at night. And I it's hard to see sometimes what some would consider idolatry in a way,
Hmm.
because when you go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and there are women, as soon as you walk in the door, there's that stone that they say traditionally is where Jesus was taken down from the cross and
Hmm.
laid there on this stone. And so there will be oftentimes women that are they'll have their hands in their face, bowing down, touching the stone, or they'll have candles, or they'll have something that they've bought, and they'll be rubbing it on the stone so that they can take it back home. And on the one hand, I think it is idolatrous in the sense that they are um, holding up this place, venerating this place, and instead of Jesus. But at the same time, I've grown to appreciate the fact that the people that come here because of Jesus. And
Hmm.
so how can that be something that we're angry about? I just can't. I can't be angry about it. It makes me sad sometimes that they don't know the truth, but it also weighs something on me that's what we're here for, is to help them see the truth more perfectly. So,
Hmm.
it is, we'll be here on, um, not, I guess, Good Friday. Is that already
Next,
passed?
no, isn't it next
That would
Friday?
be next Friday.
Hmm.
No, John and I go home that day. So what is the Sunday before Easter known as? Palm Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll actually be in Jerusalem on Palm Sunday.
Hmm.
And so there will be all kinds of walks through the city. I'm sure it's going to be crowded. And it's also Ramadan.
Mm.
And so it'll be interesting. It'll be exciting. We enjoy it.
Yeah, I
But
kind of view it the same way you do. And I mean, think about how we respond when we're there. I want pictures of every single thing. I want to touch everything I can touch. I just want to soak it all in with all of my senses. And it doesn't have anything to
mm,
do with holding it up as something sacred or wanting to worship any of that. It's just because we love Jesus. We love the story of what happened there. And
yeah,
it's just I'm just in awe getting to see
yeah,
it with my own eyes and to walk in those places and see those things and touch those things. And
right.
you can't help but be impressed by it and feel closer to the Bible because of it.
Yeah. It just makes the Bible come alive, and it
Hmm.
makes you see things in color instead of in black and white.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you been able to do any thrifting in Israel? Do they have Goodwill over there?
No thrifting here.
Oh,
Absolutely no thrifting, no shopping. John is not a believer in shopping when we're here. I'm always having to tell him there's people that want to take things home to their family, and I'm always
yeah.
having to twist his arm to give shopping time. But they have a free day. They'll get to on their free day next, I think it's Tuesday, and they can choose to do that if they want to.
Mhm.
But it's a lot of fun, and it's always fun to see it through other people's eyes too, and to see how they soak it in. Today we were at I'm trying to think, we started out at the Galilee. We left there this morning, and we have been to Bet Shan and
Mhm.
Scotopolis. And you remember last time, I don't know if that was the last time you were there, but how hot it was.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
remember us sweating getting to the top of that hill, but it
Mhm.
was actually cold today, windy and
Oh.
cold.
Hmm.
And we've been to Engedi. We went to Engedi and we went to Qumran,
Mhm.
and you've been to all those places. So
Mhm.
it's a beautiful place. But I think you probably love the food more than I do.
Ah, well, I love the dinner food.
Yeah,
There's
not
two
the
types.
food.
I feel like there's two types of food there. There's the lunch places that you go, and that's like falafel and shawarma,
Warm
and
schnitzel.
then there's the dinner places you go, and it's usually just some really kind of grilled meat and focaccia and freshly squeezed limeade.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love those
Limeade.
things. Yeah, and those fresh salads that they always have with it,
Mhm.
so good. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dessert bar.
The dessert bar is not bad.
Yeah. But did you know that the desserts are all made with soy? They're not dairy.
Well, I hadn't thought about that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's kosher. So in the
Mhm.
morning you can get they'll have fish on the breakfast bar, which kind of turns my stomach because I'm not a huge fish lover anyway, but they'll have
Yeah.
salmon, I think, and tuna. Yeah, tuna at breakfast is just not going to work for me.
Yeah.
But they'll have bread with butter in the morning and fish, and they'll have cheeses, and they'll have eggs and lots of salads and vegetables on the breakfast buffet. But then at night, because you can't, for kosher laws, you can't mix dairy and meat. So anything that you think is dairy is going to be soy. And they actually do a pretty good job with it. I like the desserts at night. They're cream puffs and things like that. Well, they taste like cream to me, but it's soy.
Huh. Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. The kosher laws. It's you can't get a cheeseburger here. You're not going to find bacon, obviously.
Mhm.
But I remember at the very first time we came thinking, why can't I have a cheeseburger? So we don't go into the whole kosher thing. If anybody's curious about that, maybe we can post something about it next week. But you can't mix meat and cheese together. So there's no cheeseburgers. There's no meat on pizza. You can get lots of pizzas, but there'll be vegetable pizza or just cheese or things like that. But you're not going to find a pepperoni pizza here in Israel. That's not true. You can find them some places. There may be in well, pepperoni, if that's pork, is going to be even hard to find too because Muslims don't do pork. So I miss home food. Did you ever have a McDonald's burger?
While we were there,
Yeah.
didn't we go to Burger King?
Yeah, because
I
that's
don't.
where the picture of the minion hats. But
Yeah, I don't remember having a McDonald's burger there.
well, I am not a McDonald's fan at home at all, but they make pretty good hamburgers here. They don't start cooking them until you order them, and they're big, thick patties, and they're good. So you'll just have to take my word for it.
Oh,
I would
well.
never choose to go to McDonald's at home, but here I like
Doesn't
it.
that meat and dairy thing come from one verse in the Bible or something?
Yeah.
I was trying to think. I can't remember which one it is, but
I don't remember where it is, but it talks about not boiling a kid in its mother's milk.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
And again, I can't remember all of the details about it, but it had to do with pagans not being like the pagans because there were some kind of pagan rituals that God was telling them not to be like them.
Mhm.
So it's just gone from that into 613 some odd or something like that laws that they've come up with. And yeah, so next week is Passover, and they will be cleaning out all of the rooms, and they'll be making sure that there's no leaven anywhere. And they will probably take, told John, there was one time we were here during Passover, and they took out the kettle, the hot water kettle, and we
Oh,
couldn't make.
no.
No.
Oh, no.
I told John I'm going to hide that in the closet somewhere so they can't take it out. Like, what in the world does a kettle have to do with Passover? And I think he said that it had something to do with if there's any mold growing in, which
Oh.
anyway.
Gross.
Yeah, but there's just all kinds of interesting things. But yeah.
So they suspect there might be mold in your kettle.
Yeah, so they take all of, well, our guide, Svika, his name is Svika Mizrahi, and we worked with him for ever since 2015.
I remember.
And he calls Passover a disease of cleaning.
Oh.
Cleaning, yeah. So they're cleaning everything. So that's a good thing. I mean, they're getting everything, doing their spring cleaning, but don't take my water kettle because I need my coffee.
Exactly. Oh man, you look like you got a little sun.
Yeah. I probably did. My nose is sunburned. I'll have the raccoon eyes, I'm sure, because I've had my sunglasses on all day, every day.
You got pink all across here.
Yeah, but not in my eyes, right? So I'll have to put some makeup on or something. Yeah. It's been a long day. It's been a good day, but it's been a long day. Yeah.
I know.
And I was thinking it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. This is Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? It's Thursday. So we've been touring 5 days. And every day has been a good day, but they're long days. And John starts us out really early. We always have to leave early and get up early. I have to get up like 5 or 5:30 so that I can have time to drink coffee. I just need that still time in the morning. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how many steps are you getting in?
Today I have 12,000. And that's probably a little on the low end.
Yeah.
The days in Jerusalem will be closer to 18 or 19. But yeah, so I'm maybe working off some of the calories that I'm eating at the dessert bar and the schnitzel if I have schnitzel at lunch. Yeah. But
walking off the focaccia.
That focaccia is so worth it though.
Oh yes. I can already taste it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're gonna have time to do that when y'all are here in October, because we only have 1 day. Don't we just have 1 day here? I'm
not coming then.
Yeah, I think you will. There's more to life than focaccia bread, right?
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. What's been going on in your world? Anything new on your homestead?
Well, we have done some planting. We're planting some carrots and beets and greens and things like that, radishes, a few things like that. But other than that, not very much. I did have a day similar to yours last Saturday because, we had a bunch of trees come down when we talked about that windstorm that we had here. And Neil was out of town, but Gary and Carl came over and they spent several hours out there with their chainsaws and trying to cut up some of those trees and drag them out of the way. And I kept hearing, you need a bigger chainsaw, way bigger chainsaw, and you need a tractor. Because all they had was Pepe, our little trailblazer. And so they're out there trying to, tie it up and drag it across the yard. And it had rained the day before, and I mean torrential downpour. And so the ground was soft. And so there were these, by the time they were done, there's all this like huge ruts in the ground from trying to get Pepe to move that thing. And then Pepe looks like they went mudding. I mean, it was just, covered in brown mud, but they worked so hard. But I was thinking back to, what you said, when it's your kids out there, they're grown men, but you're like, be careful. Did you happen to read ahead of time, like the dangers of using a chainsaw?
You'll cut your arm off.
Yeah. And so Carl and I were talking about what size chainsaw would work better. And is looking into getting one of those. And he said, well, make sure dad wears chainsaw pants. And I said, apparently they're protective wear that if you actually do lose control of your chainsaw, it'll just bounce off of those pants instead of severing an artery,
So basically chainmail.
Yes, exactly. And I said, are you wearing a pair of chainsaw pants? He's not worried about himself, but if Neil's to get out there, make sure he's wearing chainsaw pants. So
did y'all burn it? Burn all of the stuff you
Not
cut
yet. It was too wet.
Oh.
So we have to let it dry out a little bit. And plus we really need to cut it down. Carl's chainsaw he had his chainsaw, which was a little bit small. And it would get stuck about halfway through the tree trunk, because they're just so big. So they were basically they were blocking our passageway on the property. So they were basically trying to cut down dead parts of the trees and at least get them moved out of the way. So we're going to have to go back in with a bigger chainsaw to get it all cleaned up. And
are the trees dead?
I guess that's why they fell. I certainly didn't think our plum trees were dead, and the great big one that fell didn't look dead. So there was a taller one that fell near the front of our property that I think probably was dead because it just felt so much lighter. I don't really know. But anyway,
is there still some of the trunk, or did they cut it down to the ground?
The great big one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the trunk side of it is on the woods.
Oh,
so
okay.
With the exception of our plum trees, most of the trees that come down, they're not even on our property. We're right up against woods, and it's trees in the woods that are falling over across the fence onto our property.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sorry. I know that those were beautiful trees.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, the plum tree just has this funny looking stubby little trunk thing sticking up out of the air. It looks like something out of Poltergeist, just
yeah.
So
anyway. So you and I were laughing a little bit before we got on and started recording about some of the posts that have been in the group this week, in particular about putting babies to sleep.
You're welcome.
Yeah. We're gonna take the internet by storm by just putting babies to sleep with our voices.
That's right. Word is gonna spread. Moms, new moms, young babies.
Yeah.
Here's the trick. Play this podcast.
Subliminal, putting them to sleep.
They'll be out like a light. You can do your laundry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so have you heard any chatter about the topic and I think for the most part it has been like what Cheryl said about she didn't consider herself to be a girly girl, and I was thinking about that. I don't think I'm really a girly girl necessarily. I think I'm a womanly woman maybe, but I'm not into all the frills and stuff. So I was just thinking about that and how femininity looks different for different people.
And we probably should have spent a little more time on that, going back and listening to it. I thought, we were kind of vague. We were very clear. And when I responded to Cheryl's comment, I thought later I said something like, you may not be girly girl, but, and I should have said, you may not think you're a girly girl, that would have been a better thing to say, but I don't think femininity means you like to play with Barbies. So,
and that's like you say that we were a little bit vague, but I think that it is sort of vague because femininity looks different to different people. But I still thought it was an interesting episode, and I thought we got some good response to it. Just was curious what you thought.
Yeah, I think so too. And even the author of that book made the same statement about femininity, that the guys that said that they were drawn to that didn't really know how to describe it, didn't really know how to define it. They just knew how it made them feel. So yeah, did generate some good discussion. So despite the technical issues,
Oh, yeah.
I
So what happened?
I really don't know. I still don't know. And we've had issues. They introduced video to Spotify. And so you can upload video and then it'll play video in Spotify and send audio to all the other platforms. Well, that worked, I think, the first 2 weeks. And then
Yeah.
ever since then, that has not worked. And they've had a hard time processing it. And so, I wait until it goes supposed to go live first thing in the morning. And then I find out that it's not going live. And so I have to go back and upload and edit just audio. I'll spare you all the boring details there, but I had to start over.
Yeah.
And so I did all of that. And then I'm hearing, I don't know why, but Apple or Google only played the first 14 minutes.
Mhm.
So then I had to get on with a tech and try and figure out what was going on. And then we were showing the full episode on both of those platforms. So I thought it was taken care of. But then later in the day, my friend Jennifer Harrison told me that she was trying to listen, early evening, and it shut off at 14 minutes
Mm.
I think she was listening on Google. I'm not really sure.
Mhm.
But so I don't know what happened, but it's very frustrating and it makes me feel very dumb. So because
Mhm.
technology hates me and always has. And so every time something happens like that, I just panic and I think I have no idea what I'm doing and really wish I could pass this on to somebody else.
Well, I wish I could help you, but I'm very, very technologically challenged.
Ah, well, it's supposed to be pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well,
And it
I
just seems
listened
like almost every week there's something,
yeah.
something's happening. So
Well, I listened to it after you sent me before we put it live. So I
mhm.
haven't listened to it since Monday, and I didn't know, has the 15-minute issue been solved? I mean, have most people been able to listen to the full episode?
I think so because the next morning we checked both of those platforms and we kept scrolling past and every time segment was playing, well beyond 14 minutes. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's just the hassle of it, and people don't want to have to deal with that if they're just wanting to listen to it on their commute.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to deal with it. So I just want to apologize. I don't know if it was user error. I don't know if it was an issue on their side. I just never found out the actual cause of it.
Hmm.
So,
Probably because
and
we talked too long.
that's probably what it was. They're trying to tell us something.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going over your allotment.
But since we're not going to monetize this podcast, we're not going to be
Hmm.
hiring someone to take that on for us. So
Right. Yeah.
so
Well,
you're
I
you're
believe in
all you're
you.
all stuck with me.
I believe in you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, friend. Thank
I
you,
think you do a
Carla.
great job. You do great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
So
I'll try to keep up with my social media end of the bargain, which is not all that great, but
I'm so impressed with what you're doing though. You in the very beginning you said you didn't even know how to do that stuff and
yeah,
your,
well,
your
I have
stories
to
look
learn.
good. Yeah,
I've had to learn. My
you do.
stories are good.
Your
I can
stories
tell
are
a good
good.
story. That's the only kind of story I can tell. I can't tell a story to save my life.
Not true.
It's true.
That's not true.
Yeah.
The only other thing I really have to talk about is einkorn because I had shared not too long ago that I made pizza dough with einkorn flour.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
then I ended up ordering some einkorn wheat berries to grind in my mill. And I ordered a huge bag of them. It's way cheaper to do that than ordering the flour. And einkorn wheat berries have a really long shelf life. So you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about them going rancid. You don't have to refrigerate them or anything like that. So
Mhm.
um, so I've been experimenting with that, and I made some flour tortillas with freshly milled einkorn wheat berries. And
So what is einkorn?
einkorn is an ancient grain that has not been tampered with, so it's not been ever genetically modified. A lot of people that have issues with gluten can tolerate einkorn flour.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's worth looking into. It's a little bit different. It has a slightly, very slightly naturally sweet taste to
Hmm.
it. So it's good for bread and pastries and things like that. You can actually even just cook the berries like a porridge, or you can grind it into freshly milled and then cook it like cream of wheat. you can do
Yeah.
things like that with it. So it's fun.
Cool.
Mhm.
We went to Corazine.
I was just going to say, is that how you say that? Because I've been saying it wrong all this time.
You know what happened in my brain is that she asked me if there was such a thing as Corazine wheat. And I was like, I've never heard of that. And it made me think of this einkorn that you're talking about. But when in my mind, while we're talking about this, I'm thinking craisin.
Oh.
Corazine, craisin, in the state that my brain is in right now, it was all the same thing. But have you ever heard of Corazine wheat?
I have not.
Is it? And I looked it up. I Googled it and couldn't find anything. So, but it made me wonder if she was maybe talking about what you're talking about, the einkorn. How do you spell it?
Einkorn.
Okay.
The only other one I know about is, I don't know how to pronounce it, kamut. It's like Kamut. I think Laura Warrens uses that, and Shana K. Jones.
Yeah.
Use that.
Okay, talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's
I've never tried that one. But.
Well, interesting. Good to know.
Well, we don't have gluten problems, but I just like the idea of working with a grain that's never been tampered with.
Yeah. Well, and your mill is just so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
I love watching that thing work. That is very cool.
Thanks.
Well, we just, unless there's something else that you have, I just got a text from John that says, "How's it going?" which is code for, "Are you done yet?"
Are you done yet? He's probably ready to go to bed, and so are you.
It's 9:02, so it's not super late, but we've been up for a long time, and we intended for this to be just a quick check-in kind of episode, and we'll record again and have a normal episode for the week following. But
do we have time for the random question, or do you just want to skip that?
Yeah, let's do the random question.
All right, so the random question is, have you ever had a nightmare?
Who has not had a nightmare? John has nightmares all the time. He's very, I think his imagination gets him going, but I don't have a lot of them. But there is one that I have had more than once, not the exact same dream, but I'm back in high school, which is a nightmare.
Nightmare by itself. Yeah.
Oh, I would never want to go back to high school, but I can't remember my schedule. So I don't know which class I'm supposed to go to next, because I remember we had a weird schedule. Like Monday was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 class periods. And Tuesday would have been 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, it was just weird.
Okay. Yeah.
So I always had to remember my schedule. And so that's part of the dream. And then the other part of the dream is I can't remember my locker combination. So
that's not very scary.
Yes. It's not very scary. And I've had scary dreams, the kind where you wake up and you're going, trying to run and you can't run. But I don't ever remember my dreams. Can you remember in detail?
Yes, very vividly. But you're like Neil, because he never remembers his dreams either.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember that I had a dream, and I can remember in the middle of the night, I've got to remember this dream to tell John tomorrow, but then I can't remember it. So, yeah. So what's your...
I wonder why. Well, I dream every night, multiple dreams every night, and I've had a lot of bad dreams. But as far as I know, I've only had one nightmare. And in my mind, a nightmare is when you just know you're awake and you're really experiencing it. And so I think I was about 10 years old, and we lived in Florida, and my sister and I shared a bedroom at the time. And I was laying there on the bed, and I had this stool on wheels in my room. And in my nightmare, that stool started rolling across the bedroom floor by itself in the middle of the night. And so I'm laying on the bed watching it, and my heart started pounding. And then, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not asleep. I'm not dreaming. This is really happening. I'm awake. I can hear myself breathing and everything. And so I was terrified, and I just kind of froze. And then we also lived across the street from a farm that had a rooster. Well, the rooster started crowing in my nightmare. And every time the rooster would crow, I would hear somebody start whispering outside my bedroom window.
Oh.
And it sounded like, I'd hear, and then I'd hear, just this. And I just about died, and I was started sweating, and I just kept thinking, I can't believe this is really happening. Look at my sister over there sound asleep. She has no idea that we're about to die, And I finally, after I don't know how long, got up and I ran and I got my dad and I said, somebody is outside my bedroom window, and he got his gun, and when there was nobody there. And then as I'm trying to explain to him, but the stool moved in my bedroom, and so from then on, my dad tormented me. And every time he wanted to give me the willies, he'd go,
Oh, that's so terrible.
I know.
Oh,
So
man.
that's my one nightmare. And
Well, I have to tell you something. And if you're done with that, now we're going to give people nightmares. So this is not exactly a nightmare, but it's a scary thing that happened. So it was a night that John was gone somewhere. He was gone in a meeting or something. And I can't remember all the details, but when he's gone, I probably shouldn't tell this, but I'm gonna tell anyway. So when he's
now
gone,
you have to.
Yeah. Well, if he's home, I don't think anything about the locks. I do in Denver, but in Austin, in Drippin, I don't worry. He goes around and he locks things up, and I don't ever think about whether or not he's done it. I don't ask him. In Denver, I say, did you lock the door?
Right.
But at home, I don't. So if he isn't home, then I do get a little bit more nervous. I didn't as much even when the boys were little, or when they were younger, when they were, could protect me. But so if he's gone, then I'll blockade the door, and I'll have my protection here and there. And don't ask me what it's just mental protection probably. But so he was gone this night, and I woke up the next morning, and it's just bizarre. There were jalapenos on my floor in my bedroom.
What?
Yes.
That's weird.
I know.
Oh, that just gave me the chill bumps. Did one of your boys do that?
They weren't home. They
came to your house. They came to your house to mess with you.
No, because I had blockaded the door, but I think I know what happened. Know what happened.
Do tell.
Yeah. I think that probably that I had some jalapenos on my kitchen counter, and maybe I had folded some clothes or something, and I maybe laid them on top of them, and then I carried the clothes into my room, and they like dropped out or something when I put the clothes up. But that's the only thing I can think of.
That's very Twilight Zone.
It is. It is. And I still, when I think about it, I'm like, what? How in the world did that happen? I just can't imagine why jalapenos ended up on my bedroom floor. Did they levitate through the walls or something?
Bizarre. Yeah. I kind of feel like I need to mail you a jalapeno.
Yeah, that was very random.
It was so random.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a nice.
Yeah. I could just hear you, you're at camp. Everybody's around the campfire sharing their scariest stories. And you're like, there was that time I woke up and there were jalapenos on the floor.
Oh, I wish I knew. I have no explanation other than maybe I carried them in on the bottom of a pile of clothes. But even that, like, how did I sleep?
Keeping them in your robe to snack on later.
I would only do that if they were wrapped in cream cheese and bacon.
Have you seen that movie Jack and Jill?
No, what is that? I used to read Jack and Jill.
Oh no, I think it's Adam Sandler, but it's hilarious. But there's this one scene where this grandmother is always snacking on jalapenos. Every time they show her, she said.
Okay, I'm at that point of tiredness where everything is hilarious, which is probably not a good thing when we're trying to be somewhat serious here.
Oh, well, we didn't even have a topic for this episode. So what should I call it?
Jalapeños in the night. Sorry. We will try to be a little more serious and normal next time, but
or at least serious.
Yeah, we can't be too normal.
Well, listen, I hope you have a great rest of your trip, and be praying for everything to go smoothly and for you to have a safe trip back home next week.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. We're enjoying it, but we are looking forward to going home too.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we were able to pull this off and we could check in with you while you're in Israel.
Yeah, me too. It's good to see your face. Wish you were here.
Yours too. Me too. Me too.
Just a few months.
That's right. Yeah. So
okay.
We'll talk to you soon. Keep looking up.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.
All right.